Good morning, everybody. My name is Mr. Dominic, the physics teacher. Today, we'll be looking at electric field in brackets EMF of a cell. And actually, this is an SS2 topic. It's supposed to be the ending, the last topic we're supposed to look at last time, but we couldn't because of the fact that we don't have time at our disposal. So today, I'll round up that with you. We're talking about EMF. What is the EMF of a cell? What is the full meaning of EMF first? EMF means electromotive force of a cell. Electromotive force of a cell is the meaning of EMF of a cell. Now, when we're talking about the EMF, we're talking about the power that cell, this is a cell. Yeah, remember that I told you that when you have just one piece of this, we call it a cell. And when we have more than 1, 2, 3, we call them batteries. I'll say it again. When we have just one, we call it a cell. When we have more than one, we call it what? Batteries. So now, when we're talking about the EMF of a cell, we're talking about the power that this battery will be able to give you. This single battery, the power that it will be able to give you. That's what we refer to as the word, the EMF of a cell. And the EMF of a cell is the potential difference between the terminal of this cell. This is a terminal, this is a terminal. When I'm talking about the terminal, I'm talking about the positive and the negative of the cell. So the potential difference between those two terminals is what we refer to as the EMF. And remember, as I told you, I've defined potential difference for you before. I told you that the potential difference of a cell is the work done in carrying one charge or moving charges between the terminals of a circuit. I'll repeat it again. The potential difference is the work done. Take note of that. The work done in moving charges between the terminals of a cell. So now, the work done in moving charges in this battery between these two terminals is the potential difference. And the potential difference in this cell is what we call the EMF of the cell. So let's continue. How can we connect cells? There are two ways we can connect cells. Just like there are two ways we can connect resistors. I told you earlier, this is a resistor. This is a resistance box. I showed you a resistance box and I showed you a standard resistor, just to remind you of what I'm talking about. Now, how do we connect a resistor? Remember that the sign for resistor is what? It's a box with what? R on top. It's a box with R on top. Then the two wires going out of the resistors. Now, there are two ways we can connect the resistors. Number one is the what? Is the parallel method of connection, and number two is the what? Is the series method of connection. Let me put it down for you. Method of connecting resistors. Please, I'm saying this because I'm going to use this to refer back to my EMF. Now, what are the method of connecting a resistor? Number one is the what? Is the parallel method. Now, let me give you a diagram to drive my parallel method. For example, now, if this is a circuit with wires connected, and this is a resistor, and this is another resistor. Then another wire brings it here to join them together, and all connected to a what? To a cell. This is a circuit. And what did I say a circuit? I say a circuit is a connection of two or more electrical components. A circuit is a connection of what? Two or more electrical components. Whenever you join two or more electrical components together, automatically you have formed a circuit. Now, these are resistors. R1, R2, and what? R3. These are resistors connected in what? In parallel. Now, let me put it in a layman language for you. When I say resistors are connected in parallel, you don't use all one wire to connect everything. No. I believe we did the practical here. We use separate wires. Like if it comes here now, one wire will go separately, then the one that comes from here can come direct, another one will come separately from here. And use them to join all the various resistors, then you come back and join them together at this point. When you do this kind of connection, automatically you have done what we call what? A parallel connection. Now, this is one method of connection of resistor. And when you have this connection, when you want to find the total resistance, we call it total resistance or equivalent resistance of the circuit. How do you calculate it? R total, to mean our equivalent resistance is equal to what? 1 over what? R1 plus 1 over R2 plus 1 over R3. Please take note of this formula. 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2 plus 1 over R3 is the formula we use to calculate the equivalent resistance of this type of connection. And what type of connection is this? Parallel connection. The second one is what? The series connection. Series connection. When we're talking about series connection, let me put it in layman language first. You use just one wire to connect everything. You use just one wire to connect everything. Now, let me put it in a diagram format. This is your battery. This is a single wire. So when it comes from here, you connect one resistor from here, then you take out another wire again from here, you connect another resistor, then you take out another from here, and connect another resistor. This is how you do a series connection. And this is your what? Your R1 plus what? R2 plus what? R3. I believe this is explanatory enough. You can see from the diagram they are very, very different. Now, how do you get the total resistance from here? R total or equivalent resistance, any of them, is equal to what? R1 plus what? R2 plus what? R3 till Rn. When I say Rn, I mean it can be more than 3. It can be up to 10. Depending on the number of resistors. And whatever number of resistors you're given, you also use the same formula to calculate them. So let's continue. I believe I've taken note of this formula. Let's come back to a cell now. There are different ways we can connect a cell in a circuit. There are different ways we can connect a cell in a circuit. Now, I will use this diagram. Instead of a resistor now, I'm going to change it to a cell. Let's look at it now. Parallel method also. Two methods of connecting a cell. A cell, yeah. Number one is what? Is the parallel method, and number two is the what? The series method. In the case of a cell, if you're representing it in a diagram, you don't just draw a box. Please, all these things have their various notations. You don't just draw a box. How do we draw a cell? I believe you saw this sign I did here. Drawing a one long line and a short line. That is how you represent a cell. But in the case of a cell now, you won't make it a circuit. Because only a cell cannot give you a circuit. A cell can only provide power. But what is it there to power? That's another thing. So, for a cell now, how do we draw it? We draw it like this. Yes, this is a cell. And instead of R now, what will it be? It will be E1, E2, and what? E3. E1, E2, and E3. This is one method of connecting a cell. Now, when it comes to the total EMF we have in that particular circuit, how do we calculate it? Here you have your E total is equal to what? E1 plus what? E2 plus E3. This will give you your total EMF in that circuit. Now let's come to the series connection. For that of the series also, instead of the box, what do you put? Two strokes. One long one and one short one. One long one and one short one. One long one and one short one. This gives you your what? E1, E2, and what? E3. And the formula will be what? E1 plus what? E2 plus E3. All towards En. I believe that is understood. Very good. Good. I believe that is understood. Now, let's talk about the internal resistance of a cell. The internal resistance of a cell. Yeah, they are technical words, but actually they don't mean anything different from what you already know. What is the internal resistance of a cell? When we're talking about the internal resistance of a cell, for a cell to give you a current, ideally this cell is supposed to give you more than 1.5 volts. Because all these Tiger batteries we see, they produce 1.5 voltage. But on a normal day, this cell is supposed to give you more than 1.5 voltage. Why? The reason why this cell gives you 1.5 voltage because of the internal resistance of the cell. Like we said, resistance is the what? Is the opposition to the flow of what? Charges. From the word resist. When you oppose charges, when there's an opposition to the flow of charges in an electric circuit, we call it what? Resistance. And many things in the circuit brings about resistance. Once you are using up electricity, of course you are creating what? Resistance. Now, this cell has what we call the internal resistance of a cell. It's after they have finished taking all the resistance of the cell that this cell actually gives us 1.5 volts. But on a normal day, this cell is supposed to give us what? More than 1.5 volts. But because of the internal resistance of this cell, the opposition to the free flow of electricity or charges in this cell, that is why this cell produces what? 1.5 volts. I believe that is clear. I just gave you that in a layman's language. But let me give you the actual definition of internal resistance. What is the internal resistance of a cell? We say this is the opposition to the current flow offered by the chemicals between the poles of the cell. The opposition to the flow of current offered by the what? The chemicals. Okay? Yeah, this first. So I said internal resistance. This is the opposition offered. This is the opposition offered by the chemicals between the terminals of the cell. Yes, the opposition offered by the chemicals between the terminals of the cell. It offers opposition to the free flow of charges. Yes, charges will try to flow freely, but what will the resistance do? It will try to oppose it. Now, taking into consideration all this resistance is why we come out with the particular voltage of a cell to be what? To be equal to 1.5. And there's a formula used for calculating the internal resistance of a cell. We already know from SS1 we dealt with what we call Ohm's law. Ohm's law. And what does Ohm's law state? Ohm's law states that the current flowing in a metallic conductor is directly proportional to the what? To the potential difference, provided the temperature is kept constant. That is an SS1 topic. So I'm just giving you a recap of what it is. I will still state it again. Ohm's law states that the current flowing through a metallic conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference, provided the temperature remains what? Constant. And mathematically, Ohm's law, I is directly proportional to what? V. I is directly proportional to V. And when we remove our standard proportionality, what are we going to have? We're going to have what? A constant. And from here, when we remove our standard proportionality, we're going to introduce our constant, which is equal to what? V is equal to IR. V is equal to IR. That is our Ohm's law. Now, in the case of a cell now, this V returns to what? Return to E. This V return to E. So what are we going to have? E is equal to what? I what? R. I believe we're together. E is equal to IR, because now we're dealing with a cell, we're not dealing with a resistor. So now, making our I subject of formula. Making our I subject of formula. I will be equal to what? E over what? R. E over R. Now, when we're talking about internal resistance of a cell, there are two types of resistance. There's a resistance offered by the circuit, and there's a resistance inside the battery before it even produces current. Now, our big R is the resistance offered by the circuit. And we also have our small r, which is the what? The resistance offered by the battery. So now, putting these two into this equation, our equation will turn to I is equal to what? E over R plus R, where R is the big resistance, the resistance offered by the circuit. Small r is the what? The resistance offered by the what? The battery. Now, let me write down our SI units and also our various quantities. Like I said, I is our what? Current. And what is the SI unit? Ampere. E is our what? EMF. And what is the SI unit? The SI unit is volts. Volts. R is our resistance offered by the what? The circuit itself. And the SI unit is what? Ohms. And small r is the what? Internal resistance. The SI unit is what? Ohms also. But in this case, this is a small r and this one is a what? It's a big R. So, let's round it up now, because automatically I've dealt with all these things. But another important thing we need to look at, we have been talking about resistance. There's an opposite to resistance. Resistance, when we're talking it as a topic, it is called resistivity. Yes, this is the ability of a material to be able to resist the flow of current. It is called resistivity. The ability of a material to resist the free flow of current is called resistivity. But there's an opposite to resistivity. We call it what? Conductivity. Conductivity now is what? Is the ability of a material to allow the free flow of what? Electricity. For example, that is why we say a metal is a good conductor. Why? Because it allows the free flow of electricity. But a wood is a poor conductor. Why? Because it doesn't allow the free flow of electricity. So the opposite of resistivity is what? Conductivity. Now, when we're talking about the resistivity offered by a circuit, there are 4 things we take into consideration. Number 1 is the length of the wire. The more the length of the wire, the more the resistivity. The more the length of the wire, the more the resistivity. Number 2 is the cross-sectional area. Cross-sectional area, we're talking about how big or small the wire is. How big or small the body of the wire is. Number 3 is what? The nature of the material. The nature of the material. It depends on the nature with which the material was created. That also will determine the what? The conductivity or the resistivity of the material. While the last one is what? Is the temperature. The more the temperature, the higher the resistivity. Once the wire gets too hot, it doesn't allow free flow of electricity. That is why whenever you're using anything at home, once the wire gets too hot, you notice that the thing starts malfunctioning. It doesn't supply the required current again. So I will take it again. Number 1 is the length. The more the length, the more the resistivity. The more the length, the more the resistivity. The area. The bigger the wire, the lesser the resistivity. The bigger the wire, the lesser the resistivity. That is why you don't use small wire, tiny wires to draw light from the electric pole to your house. Why? Because automatically it will burn off. Why? Because that wire is what? Too small. So the more the wire, the less the what? The resistivity. Number 3 is the nature of the material. This will determine the material with which that wire was made. Was it made with aluminum? Was it made with copper? Was it made with silver? All those things will determine the resistivity of that wire. The last one is what? The temperature. The more the temperature, the more the resistivity. The more the temperature, the more the resistivity. So, I'm going to give you a homework now that you can use to practice on your own. Now, to cap this up, there's a formula used for calculating resistivity. This is our resistance is equal to resistivity multiplied by length over what? Area. Yes. This one is our resistance. This is our resistivity. This is actually a constant. L is our what? Length. And what's the last one? A is our what? Area. So what you're going to do for me now is this. You're going to use all these things to drive the SI unit of this resistivity. I've told you the SI unit of resistance, which is our ohms. The SI unit of length is our what? Meters. And the SI unit of area is our what? Meters squared. So please use all this to drive the SI unit of resistivity. Let me put it down so that you get what I'm saying. Please make sure you do this. Don't overlook it as if it's difficult. So use the various quantities of the formula above to derive the SI unit of resistivity. And what is my resistivity? My resistivity is my what? It's my rho. It's a Roman figure. It's called rho. So please use the various SI units that I wrote on the other side of the board to drive the SI unit for your rho, which is this. So you have to put in the various quantities, then make this separate formula that will give you your SI unit. So do have a nice day and stay well. Thank you.